matchups between some very strong players in the early rounds here. It's been a joy to watch so far.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting also having these, what people call mirror matches, which is when it's two decks that are essentially the same coming up against each other. It's really interesting to see how the players adapt because they know their matchup with other decks very well. They know what their strategy is, but when they're playing against what is effectively the same deck that they're playing, sometimes they have to pull out that plan B or strategies that on the fly that they might not have considered previously or that might not be so conventional.
So we see Gustavo attaching the Lightning Energy to Pikachu and Zekrom GX on the bench, just going straight away for his heavy hitter. Actually plays an Electro Power just so he can Lily for additional cards. So,
yeah, I don't think that's a card you want to just be playing willy-nilly. It's not your ideal one to get rid of. I mean, typically the decks do run 4 of them, 4 only. So, and you do need those later on in the game to be able to achieve those, 4 prize turns with Tag Bolt, which is really what you want. Or in some cases, 6 prizes, like we've possibly seen in previous rounds.
You never know. So we see Ultra Ball from Clifton here. He's going to get rid of Zeraora GX, and he's really debating which second Pokemon to get rid of. Looks like he's throwing away that Jolteon GX. Card we haven't seen yet on the stream, but it is very powerful in its own right. Has some pretty useful attacks across the board, including GX attack that can really swing the momentum of the game. Reminds me a lot of that Dawnwings Necrozma GX, where you can take a big knockout and then prevent your opponent from doing anything on the next turn.
Yeah, and like a lot of the partner Pokemon for Pikachu and Zekrom, it has quite a low attack cost as well. I mean, its first attack only requires 1 Lightning Energy, and 1 energy, and the other attacks only require 2. So it's really ideal when you're playing a Pokemon that needs a lot of energy attached, like Pikachu and Zekrom. You want its partners to attack for almost free, I think.
Yeah. So a lot going on here from Clifton. So he did Ultra Ball away some of those tech Pokemon, but Rescue Stretchered them back into his deck, so he'll still have access to them. We see the Absol coming down to deny any kind of escape board plays. And here comes Marshadow with Let Loose, going to try to disrupt Gustavo, who had quite a few cards in his hand after that Lily.
Yeah, it's an ability we thought would be saying all weekend. There's lots of different decks that are deciding to put in that Marshadow now and use that Let Loose ability to disrupt their opponent. Sometimes it backfires on people, though, because then they draw into 4 cards that they didn't really want to see. And it's, not so great. But when you're pairing it with something like Jirachi, which lets you, with its Stellar Wish ability, look at the top 5 of your cards and choose a trainer card from there, it's not such a hindrance. You can get around that Marshadow in this way.
Yeah, so after the Let Loose, Clifton's hand does not look very good, and he did have Jirachi, who's probably hoping to Stellar Wish into a supporter card, but, I mean, he found one, but it's Guzma. He has no way to draw additional cards this turn, and it's going to be a pretty weak first turn for him. He's really going to be hoping that his opponent also drew poorly.
It'll be interesting to see if he decides to actually attach an energy card. This kind of Pikachu and Zekrom GX tag team deck does want to have energies in play, and he does opt to go for that Zapdos and attach the energy and play Guzma just to get that 80 damage in, which shouldn't be scoffed at. If you chip away at that Pikachu and Zekrom GX, you can get those 3 prizes later on.
Yeah, especially, I mean, you get a turn with a couple Electro Powers, anything is possible. Looks like Gustavo, just attaches and plays a switch to get his Pikachu and Zekrom out of the way. So Let Loose has really wreaked havoc on this game already. Yeah,
it's put in the work that Clifton wanted it to put in, and as he's still able to do things, but unfortunately Gustavo at a bit of a loss. Really retreating that Zapdos there, putting Jirachi into the active spot and looking for an item card to get off the top 5.
So Clifton plays Switch to send out Jirachi again so he can Stellar Wish, and then finds Escape Rope. So we might be seeing a similar thing to what we saw last turn, where he's just going to play Escape Rope, force the Pikachu and Zekrom GX out, and hit for another 80 damage. And now it's only got 80 HP left.
Yeah, it seems like a silly combination.
Oh, Tapu Koko GX coming in now. Things are getting desperate.
I don't think this is how either decks are supposed to work, personally, but that Tapu Koko, it did its job. It got rid of the only attacking Pokemon that Clifton had on his side of the field, so nothing to be scoffed at. It's a kind of nice little plan B going on there, but that Pikachu and Zekrom on the bench there is just 3 prizes waiting to be taken.
And Clifton finally finds a supporter card off of the 3rd Stellar Wish. He finally gets Cynthia. So he'll be the first one to draw some extra cards here, and he'll need it, because right now he's under a lot of pressure from that Tapu Koko.
Yeah, needs to find probably a Zapdos, a way to retreat Jirachi, and maybe an energy as well. But it looks like he's thinking about putting down a GX Pokemon.
He does have Pikachu and Zekrom in hand, but decides not to play it down. Not wanting to bench any Pokemon GX in this situation. It looks kind of even at this point. I mean, Gustavo is in the lead in terms of he has energy in play, he's taken a prize card, but his hand is very fragile at this point. He has almost nothing to work with. And if Clifton is able to power up Pikachu and Zekrom GX at some point, pull off the big Tag Bolt GX attack, he can easily come back in this game.
So an attachment to Marshadow might seem questionable and like probably not what you want, but getting energy on the board is really important in this kind of deck because you run so many energy switch. It's just good to have those energies available to you to move around when you actually need to. So it may seem questionable, but I think he has a long-term game plan going on there and thinking, you know, if I put one there, maybe I can, you know, get a Jolteon out or get a Zapdos or whatever I need to do and then energy switch it to the front.
Yeah, you have Energy Switch and even just Tapu Koko GX like what Gustavo did. You can use that Arrow Trail ability and move all the energy to your Tapu Koko GX. And yeah, having energy anywhere is a benefit.
So Jirachi goes to the discard pile and Jirachi comes in. So we can still use a Stellar Wish here. Comes out an Electro Power.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. He's going to play one Electro Power, probably Cynthia, and hope for the best. Yeah, it's nice that even when Electro Power isn't really doing anything, it's a card you can get rid of so you don't draw it anymore. It's never really a terrible draw, because, I mean, if you're about to play a supporter, you just go, okay, it would be nice to play this in a more ideal situation, but right now I need cards that help me attack, so let's just throw it away.
Especially if that support is something like Lily, and it's, you know, first or second turn of the game. Get that down, draw an extra card, and hopefully it's what you're looking for. Clifton does find off this Cynthia the Tapu Koko Prism Star, which is a way for him to start accelerating energy onto the board if he does have lightning in the discard pile. So that's one option available to him if he can find an attacker, and he is actually looking to see how many energy are in there. It is only one.
Right, and he still gets to use Stellar Wish with Jirachi so he can dig for one more trainer card.
Having a look there, I see a couple of supporters, Choice Band.
Grabs the Lily.
Might have been a Viridian Forest as well.
You almost had it the right way, but no, that's paralyzed. Sleep is the other direction.
I think most players know. I think they'll know what's going on. I feel like a couple of times I might have forgotten to flip for sleep as well, but...
Okay, so we see Tapu Koko Prism Star. Gonna use that Dance of the Ancients ability and get a lightning energy onto Marshadow? All right. I'm thinking we're going to see a Tapu Koko GX. Otherwise, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a format with Ninja Boy, sadly, so that Pokemon can't be Ninja Boy. But what's really great about Tapu Koko is its Aero Trail ability can actually put itself into the active spot, which is great when you have a Jirachi that's asleep and can't retreat. It actually takes the energy from your other Pokemon and puts itself into the active position. And there's the third energy on that Marshadow, and in goes Tapu Koko with its Aero Trail ability.
All right, now unfortunately he will have to use the GX attack, so he has to burn that here to Tapu Thunder GX for 180 damage thanks to the Electro Power. So playing that before the Cynthia actually was a very big deal. And he wipes out all of the energy on Gustavo's side. That's just a massive swing in the game.
And this is where that already 160 damage on that Pikachu and Zekrom GX could become relevant, because it does mean it's just a Guzma away from giving Clifton 3 prizes, which will put him down to 1 prize. So yeah, we have definitely moved into a format where things move quite quickly.
Yeah.
Because there are so many Pokemon that can hit big numbers and give up so many prizes. I do think neither player is using their optimal strategy either. I think it's been a lot of awkward hands and reliance on Jirachi. I mean, there comes down an Absol on Gustavo's side as well, which could change things up a little bit for Clifton. It does mean he will need to commit an extra energy to Pokemon that he wants to retreat. Which is relevant if he's trying to Guzma up that Pikachu and Zekrom at any point in the game.
Yeah, Marshadow let loose tends to make things a little messy. It makes you get resourceful. And that's exactly the kind of game we're seeing here. Neither player really doing exactly what they want to do, but looks like Gustavo is now way behind as he does nothing that turn. Doesn't even play an energy card. His bench is full of Pokemon that just aren't doing anything. And I can't really see him committing much energy to the Pikachu and Zekrom because it's just going to get knocked out.
Gustavo here drawing some cards. I mean, if I didn't see that Pikachu and Zekrom in his hand, I would say, is he playing a Pikachu and Zekrom deck? Is this just Tapu Koko against the world? But, I mean, it's putting in enough work that it, it's deserved its spot there. I just wonder if he needs to get some energy down this turn, because if that Tapu Koko is somehow knocked out, in some shenanigans going on, he will have no energy left on his board. So, looks great, but I'd say both players are in a very sort of fragile state.
Yeah, we do see sky-high claws for the knockout. So now Clifton is down to 3 prize cards, which means he just has to finish off Pikachu and Zekrom GX on the bench, and he'll take this first game. And it won't take a lot, even if this Tapu Koko goes down. If he just finds a Zapdos, a Lightning Energy, and a Guzma, he'll take the first game. And you can see that even though Pikachu and Zekrom GX is incredibly powerful, it comes with a massive risk. When it gets knocked out, you pretty much lose half the game. 3 prize cards is just such a massive cost to pay.
And I'd say when you have Jirachi with its Stellar Wish ability, Guzma Energy Zapdos is completely possible. Right. I mean, it can find you the Guzma, it can find you Viridian Forest or the Ultra Ball, the things that you need to be able to find the piece to get that knockout together. But look what Gustavo is going for there. It's our buddy Marshadow, and he's able to use that Let Loose and disrupt Clifton's hand if he so chooses. Going to play the Guzma first to bring the Jirachi into the active spot.
Yeah, this is smart from Gustavo, trying to find some way to win this game. Try to get a quick knockout here on this Jirachi, and then let loose to try to disrupt his opponent's hand. Absol is kind of playing a role on both players' side. That ability increases the retreat cost of your opponent's basic Pokemon if it's the active by 1, so it prevents the escape board combo. But we'll see what happens here. Gustavo really needs to find a Lightning Energy, or perhaps, oh, there it is, Thunder Mountain Prism Star allows him to attack with Thunderous Assault, take a prize card, but if Clifton has Guzma, it's game over.
You got 4 cards off that Marshadow. You'll get 1 more. No longer has access to Stellar Wish. Oh, I just see a couple of Nest Balls.
So he could Nest Ball for a Jirachi just so he has that available. If he wants to be a little risky, he could grab Jirachi, retreat to it, and try to find the game-winning Guzma.
So unlike Gustavo, who does have a turn because he doesn't have a Pokemon that gives up 3 prizes, so he does know that he's safe next turn, unless we see some kind of 6 energy tag bolt out of nowhere. I mean...
Seems tough.
It seems questionable, but anything's possible these days with those GX, Tag Team GX Pokemon.
See Zeraora GX coming down, and just the retreat. Jolteon is not a basic Pokemon, so it's unaffected by Absol. So still gets to retreat for free. Sky High Claws puts Clifton down to 2 prize cards, and he is still in the lead here.
Gives himself an extra option because he knows that, I mean, other than Zapdos, I mean, what is Gustavo going to be attacking with? Possibly GXs or promoting GXs. So he knows, oh, if I can't knock out that Pikachu and Zekrom GX, I'll just take 1 prize each turn, or I'll take 2 prizes in 1 turn. Lots of options available.
Yeah, Gustavo's bench is so clogged, I don't even know what he can do besides attack with Zapdos, and that's exactly what he's doing here. He would really love to find an energy card this turn to try to power up his Pikachu and Zekrom GX, but still has to attack with the Zapdos. No energy cards, but thanks to the Thunder Mountain Prism Star, he can attack for free.
And Gustavo is actually keeping up in the prize trade as well. Both players are actually on 2 prizes each, so even though there's that Pikachu and Zekrom GX liability on the bench, it's not really affecting him, and he's still able to take, 1 prize each turn and to stay on par with Clifton here.
Yeah, this is still somewhat scary for Clifton. It feels like he's been ahead the whole time, well, ever since he knocked out his opponent's Tapu Koko GX. But, I mean, if he attacks with a GX and then Gustavo pulls off some Tapu Koko Prism Star, attach energy to his Pikachu and Zekrom, you could just see full blitz, knock out a GX, and he'll win the game.
And the best time to play a tag team Pokemon is when your opponent has fewer than 3 prize cards remaining, because you know that you can't be punished. And he actually elects to put it into the active spot. We see 1 energy switch go down, an attachment from hand. Looks like the remaining cards are Nest Ball, and that's a full blitz for 150 thanks to the Thunder Mountain Prism Star Stadium. Puts Clifton down to 1 prize. And feels like he's in a commanding position.
Yeah, I was going to say if Gustavo had access to like a rescue stretcher to get back his Tapu Koko GX, this could be very dangerous. because there's so much energy in play. He wouldn't need a whole lot. He would just need like Tapu Koko Prism Star and then Tapu Koko GX, and he could Tapu Thunder for the game, but I think there's no way for him to get back his Tapu Koko GX, so it's going to be really hard for him to pull off any kind of knockout here.
But that's what we were talking about earlier, right? I mean, these Lightning Pokemon have so many cool combinations available to them now out of the Team Up expansion. Things like that Tapu Koko Prism Star, and from previous sets like the Lost Thunder, Thunder Mountain, just means that you can get those attacks sort of out of nowhere. I mean, if you look at Gustavo's side, he has no energy in play, but we've just discussed a combination that will allow him to win the game.
Yeah, and to be fair, he can still win the game this turn. If he can find Tapu Koko Prism Star, a Switch, an Energy, and then an Electro Power, he can simply use Tag Bolt GX for 260 damage and steal this game still. It's a lot to ask for, but it's all very possible.
It's all possible.
Yeah. Unfortunately for him, his skateboard on the Jirachi is not an option because of Absol, so it's going to have to be a Switch.
Yeah, that Absol, sort of like a counter card that people have been playing. People have been playing Ultra Necrozma GX with this Jirachi and a skateboard to counter Pikachu Zekrom, so they said, well, I'll counter you back with this Absol and prevent you from being able to use that Jirachi with Stellar Wish effectively.
Yeah.
I think it's just a sign of a really good player. It's just a really smart play to include in your deck. If it doesn't affect your consistency too much, why not take some things in to help you in different matchups?
Yeah, unfortunately, I do think Tapu Koko Prism Star is prized for Gustavo, so even after drawing 4 prize cards, he was not able to fish it out of there, and he's just trying to do whatever he can to not lose this game. Puts down another Pikachu and Zekrom GX, says, hey, it's got 240 HP, maybe? Maybe I can make it through another turn.
Yeah, hopefully this one can go the distance. I mean, he knows that if Clifton had a Guzma at any point in the game would be over. So he's banking on the fact that Clifton hasn't drawn into that or won't draw into that this turn. But really deliberating about where to place that energy and decides to put it on the heavily damaged Pikachu and Zekrom GX and promote the one that's completely on full health.
All right, so pass the turn, and hey, not a bad draw. Clifton top decks the game-winning Guzma. And that's not a bad way to end your game.
That is a pretty amazing top deck right there. Didn't even need the Jirachi. Who needs Jirachi? Just draw what you need.
Wow. All right. Well, Clifton Goh takes the first game. A bit of a rocky start for both players, but Clifton was able to recover before Gustavo did from that devastating let loose on the first turn, and that really set the tone for the entire game.
And so these two decks, although they're both playing Pikachu and Zekrom GX, are not actually identical. So we saw a couple of differences. So Clifton having that Jolteon GX, which in the end, quite good. It was able to just retreat for free and do a few different shenanigans when sometimes Zera Aura GX might be shut off, say by, not necessarily in this case, but by things like Alola Muck. It's nice to have a different free retreater that you can use to be able to get that retreating off and use that Zapdos. I would like to see both players set up properly this time and not be so hampered by something like Marshadow with its let loose ability. Although I wouldn't blame either player for playing it on their first turn to disrupt their opponent. I think that's now
what it's there for.
Yeah, it's sort of now part of the strategy that players are using, not just in these decks, but in a lot of other decks as well. I mean, it fits seamlessly into something like the Ultra Necrozma GX with Malamar, just because they can search it out so easily. So players need to be ready for this Marshadow. Clifton, unfortunately, Gustavo not able to find a basic straight away. I think it's better to find no basic than to find a Pikachu Zekrom straight away sometimes.
Sometimes,
as Jake would attest from that previous round.
Indeed. And another thing about the double Guzma prized and Absol, those are some pretty big prize cards there for Gustavo. And the Wobbuffet prized for Clifton is that Shady Tail ability that prevents all players from effectively using their Prism Star Pokemon, which can be very relevant in this kind of a matchup where you're so reliant on the Tapu Koko Prism Star. If you can ever use yours first and then put down the Wobbuffet, you can deny your opponent from using theirs. And it also is very good against things like Ditto Prism Star.
Yeah, I mean, last game, that's what we were talking about. That Tapu Koko Prism Star would have potentially won Gustavo the game there, and if that's shut off with the Wobbuffet, well, that option is not available to him. That Tapu Koko also allows you to full blitz quite quickly. Yeah. It accelerates energy onto the board. You can move it around with the energy switches and potentially get a full blitz attack off on turn 2 of the game. But if you can't use that Tapu Koko Prism Star, that option's not really available to you.
So Gustavo does begin with a pretty big Lily for about 5 cards, and does get his first Pikachu and Zekrom GX on the bench, but not a whole lot else going on. You would hope for a more explosive turn where you're able to, get some energy in the discard pile, perhaps use Tapu Koko Prism Star, but looks like a pretty boring turn. He just plays an energy switch in preparation for a Let Loose and is unable to even get his Jirachi down. So even though he went first and played a supporter card, played some stuff down, Clifton can still disrupt him pretty badly if he is able to find Marshadow.
Yeah, that energy switch might seem like nothing, but it was actually a really clever play as well. Just also because Zapdos is, potentially able to be knocked out by an opposing Zapdos with a few electro powers, which is definitely possible in this kind of deck. But you're right. In anticipation for Marshadow, you've got to play out the cards that you can. That put energy where you need it to be in the following turns, because you can't rely on finding that energy switch off the 4 cards you get with Marshadow.
See Viridian Forest being used by Clifton. So he's actually discarding his Nest Ball. Huh. He's using that to find a lightning energy with the Viridian Forest.
I'm sure he has plans.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's ready.
And that just seems very unusual to me, but yeah, I'm sure there's a reason for it.
It's always good as well. With that Viridian Forest, it allows you to not only get that lightning energy, but also search your deck and just have a look and see what's prized as well. So you can set up your following turns and decide, oh, I don't have access to this. Oh, I do have access to this. So these are the combinations I'll look for. It actually looks like he has a lot of the basic Pokemon he wants in his hand already. I saw a Zapdos. I saw the Absol, the Jirachi that he just played down. Was the Escape Robe, and that's sort of forcing Gustavo to put something possibly suboptimal into the active position. He's chosen to go with the Tapu Lele GX.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted his Pikachu and Zekrom to get hit by a potential Zapdos.
Yeah, none of that 80 damage shenanigans that we saw last game. I think he's definitely trying to play around that strategy.
Yeah, and Clifton continuing to dig deeper through his deck, get another trainer card, find Cynthia this time. So he just wants to keep drawing cards, probably try to find Marshadow at some point. And he does have Zapdos. I think he also has Guzma in hand if he wants to go for that.
There it is. There's Guzma. And so I guess he's saying, hey, it worked for me last game. I'll just keep doing 80 damage to your, or 110 now, to your
take that.
Pikachu Zekroms.
Yeah, and I mean, that is very intimidating, because usually you love to attack with Pikachu and Zekrom when it's completely healthy. That way, you're not really scared of it getting knocked out in return. Here, if you somehow power it up and get a knockout, your opponent could very easily just do the finishing 130 damage, take 3 prize cards, and usually you want to put down 1 Pikachu and Zekrom GX and then go for 1 big Tag Bolt GX, and then from there play with like regular GXs or Zapdos. But whenever you have to put down the second one, it just feels bad because your opponent can knock out 2 Pokemon and win the game. Yeah,
I mean, if you have damage on your Pikachu Zekrom when you're full blitzing, you also really don't want to put the energy onto the same Pokemon, because then you're just losing 6 energy or 5 energy in 1 turn. Kind of messes with Gustavo's game plan a little bit there, but there's so many options available in this deck. It doesn't mean the game's over by any means.
Like we just see a Volkner here for Ultra Ball and a Lightning Energy. We do see Zapdos gets an energy on the bench as well, so might see Gustavo play a switch and an Electro Power. His Thunderous Assault does not apply weakness. So you actually do need to play Electro Power to get the knockout, but he will. He'll get the first knockout of the game, and it'll be up to Clifton to respond.
Yeah, that's something, sadly, I had to learn in the pre-release when I was hoping to attack with Zapdos and get a knockout on an opposing Zapdos, and my opponent said, no, read the text. It does not apply weakness.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of glad that it doesn't, that it has some stipulations on it, so it isn't just this amazingly, powerful card that can hit different Zapdos for weakness as well. You do have to do a little bit of extra work, but I do think Zapdos has been a bit of an MVP already at this tournament, and we're only in round 4. It's just been taking so many prizes.
Yeah, it's been Zapdos and Jirachi have been the 2 biggest new cards so far. Seen plenty of Viridian Forest as well, but not quite the same as what Jirachi and Zapdos are doing.
Doesn't seem as impactful, but then again, I have found that a lot of different people with a lot of different decks are opting to put Viridian Forest in. So, yeah, it's definitely a great utility card that a lot of people are really seeing the value in. Being able to find energy, especially when you want to put a few tech cards in. So we were talking about that Buzzwole earlier, attacks for fighting energy. If you had a Viridian Forest in your deck, you can find that fighting energy very quickly. It really allows you to implement those tech attacks a lot more easily.
Yeah. Just looking over Clifton's deck once again, you see the Jolteon GX. And I know earlier you were saying that some players were considering bringing that Vileplume from Burning Shadows, where if it's active, your opponent's basic Pokemon can't attack. But Clifton's one step ahead. He's got Jolteon. He can still attack.
Oh, he must have heard. Must have heard the rumors about this Burning Shadows Vileplume. Ultra Ball now, getting rid of double energy switch.
Ooh. That's rough.
Yeah, that seems... I'm sure he had to do it. I'm sure he has excellent other cards in his hand. I'd also like to point out that I don't think we've seen a consistent art on the energy switches. Everyone seems to have their own style.
It has been around forever.
Yeah, it's been printed in a few different printings, different energies.
I think the first one was like Aquapolis. It's a long time ago.
It's old school.
Yeah.
It's an old school card.
Yeah.
It's
The one
really-
right there is from Black and White, but yeah, we're seeing all sorts of artworks pop up.
So we see switch into the Zapdos, so it will be able to do that 80 damage.
Yep.
I'm sure neither players need to be reminded that it doesn't hit for weakness. So you get the 80 damage onto the Zapdos. And Clifton, I mean, other than that Zapdos, doesn't have too much going for him. You really want to see a lot more energy on the field, especially if he had access to those energy switches, but unfortunately they are in the discard pile.
Yeah, and that 80 damage might seem like a waste. It's like, if you're not going to get a one-hit knockout, what's the point? But he does have Jolteon GX in his deck. Can do 30 damage to a benched Pokemon later in the game, so that 80 damage might be relevant later on. It might not be, but there's a chance that this attack right here ends up winning him the game.
That would be really cool. That would be a really cool story. It's that Jolteon very reminiscent of the Manectric, I think, from Phantom Forces.
Yeah.
The one that had Overrun.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar, like to set up different knockouts and then take multiple in one turn. So if that's possible with Jolteon, and I'd say anything's possible when you have things like Choice Band and Electro Power.
Right, yeah.
And take possibly 4 prizes off that Pikachu and Zekrom GX and the Zapdos simultaneously would be pretty amazing. Unfortunately, we don't see any Eevee on the field at the moment, though, so it probably won't be happening.
Although with Energy Evolution, it can come out of nowhere.
How could I forget?
All right, so Gustavo now filling his bench with all sorts of different Lightning Pokemon, and we do see Energy Switch can retreat thanks to Zeraora GX, and we see the full Blitz. He's going in. Now is the time. Says, I don't care if my Pikachu and Zekrom is already damaged. You have no energy in play. All you have is a couple of Jirachi and an Absol. None of those things do damage to me.
They're great cards, the abilities, but yeah, I don't think Zekrom has to be too worried. And I think also when he's seeing things like Clifton discarding utility cards like Energy Switch, sort of even less worried by things like Tapu Koko Prism Star potentially getting energy out of nowhere.
Well, there's Tapu Koko Prism Star. All right, so there's 130 HP left on this Pikachu and Zekrom. So there's any number of things that could get there. One of the easiest would probably be Tapu Koko GX. You know, you can just use the Dance of the Ancients, get the 2 energy in play, and then attach one from hand, and you can just Arrow Trail, and you can even just use Sky High Claws to get the knockout.
Fortunately, off that Lily, Clifton finds a whole lot of nothing that he can play. He doesn't actually even find a Pokemon that he can use down to the Ancients to try and get energy onto. He does get one more chance with that Jirachi Stellar Wish, and does find a Nest Ball, which will get him any number of basics that he's looking for.
Yeah, and there's no Absol on Gustavo's side, so a Skateboard is an option for him.
That Stellar Wish definitely coming in handy. Really allows you to execute a lot more different plays.
Yeah, so if Clifton could find maybe Zapdos with Choice Band and Electro Power, he can get the knockout here. Even just Zapdos with Choice Band can set up Jolteon GX for later. That would mean Pikachu and Zekrom and Zapdos are both 30 HP away. So you could get a 4-prize turn.
But I'm not sure. I feel like he's 1 card away. I feel like it's a little bit awkward. Goes for the Eevee. Again, with that energy evolution, able to search for Jolteon GX and put it straight into play. So from nowhere, we have a Jolteon GX.
Yeah, and with the Tapu Koko Prism Star, he can power up that Swift Run GX attack. If he has Choice Band, he can get the knockout, and then Jolteon GX will be completely immune from his opponent's attacks on the following turn. So this can be a massive swing in the game. This Jolteon GX just comes out of nowhere thanks to Eevee's energy evolution.
I have a spoiler. He does have the Choice Band. So this will be a knockout on the Pikachu and Zekrom GX. I'm sure that's the play he's going for. Can he take full advantage of the Dance of the Ancients? He can, because there are 2 Lightning Energy in the discard pile, which is what you want to see.
And there's an interesting choice here. You can go for Swift Run GX and get the knockout. That uses up your GX attack. You could also Head Bolt for the knockout and accept that Jolteon's being knocked out, but that leaves you an option for Tapu Koko GX in the future to use Tapu Thunder. So he'll have to weigh the options here, decide, do I care if Jolteon gets knocked out, or do I want to use Swift Run? And he's just going to flip his GX marker, take the 3-prize knockout. Clifton is making a comeback in this game.
And I think both plays had merit, right? They using a GX move means that Jolteon GX is now immune to damage for this turn, unless we see some kind of Guzma with escape rope shenanigans going on from Gustavo's side. But it does mean that Clifton won't be giving up 2 prizes this turn. At most, he'll be giving up 1.
Right.
We would suspect, which does mean that he'll be even in the prize trade and ahead in the prize race, because it means that he'll be able to take the next prize the next turn. I'd still be very worried about that Pikachu and Zekrom GX though, because it also can take 3 prizes in 1 turn. So.
Yes, that is very true. We do see Ultra Ball from Gustavo. So far, he does not have Guzma, and he's actually just going to grab Marshadow for Let Loose so that he can give himself an opportunity to draw either Guzma or an Escape Rope. Or if he draws a different supporter card, he could perhaps get a Cynthia or something and draw into Escape Rope. But he's got to find something to get this Jolteon GX out of the active spot. Otherwise, he won't be able to attack for damage this turn.
Yeah, Marshadow, often when you play it, you think you've played a supporter, and then you look at your hand and say, oh, I haven't actually played a supporter. Right. And then you can play another one. It's great. It's
oh my goodness.
Alternatively, you could get the hand that Gustavo has, which is not fantastic, unfortunately.
You could draw like 4 Pokemon. Is that good?
Sometimes. Sometimes. I mean, if you're playing Zoroark GX, but maybe not in this case. It's not exactly what he's looking for.
Oh boy, that is ugly.
It's always a question of what does he want to leave into the active spot this time.
Yeah, I mean, he can't even retreat. His Jirachi is asleep.
Yeah.
So that Jolteon GX causing a huge swing in the game for Clifton, who is now ahead 1 prize card, perhaps going to be ahead by 2 at the end of this turn. And that would mean he would only have to finish off 1 Pokemon GX, perhaps that Tapu Lele GX, to win this game.
And the question here is, so he has opted to play Guzma. I see. I was going to say the possibility to take 2 prize cards, 1 on the Zapdos and 1 on the Jirachi if he was playing Electro Powers. But looks like he's going to Stellar Wish first and Guzma that Tapu Lele GX.
This is huge. So he gets Guzma onto Tapu Lele GX. He has Choice Band on Jolteon already. If he has 1 Electro Power, he can Head Bolt for the knockout, go down to 1 prize card. And then all you'd have to do is find a way to do 30 damage to that Zapdos on the bench. And he'll win this game and take the series.
And you know what can do 30 to Zapdos? An opposing Zapdos, which he does run multiple of, so...
A lot of things can do 30 damage.
That's true. Sometimes the energy cost is prohibitive, though, but...
Yeah. And if you had a Metal Energy, Jirachi could slap.
I'm not sure if it's that teched out, this list. I don't know. I don't know if I saw Metal Energy on the list there, but there's the Electro Power, so that will be...
Missed opportunity.
Anything's possible with Viridian Forest, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So there we go. 170 damage to the Tapu Lele puts Clifton Goh down to 1 prize, and that is 1 prize away from going 4-0 in this International Championships. A really nice start to the tournament there.
So Gustavo absolutely has to knock out this Jolteon GX this turn. If not, it's just going to be game over. It's going to do 30 damage to the bench Zapdos, and that'll be it. So he has to find some way to get rid of it.
And I see a few combo pieces in his hand, right? He has the Tapu Koko Prism Star, which will accelerate 2 energy onto the board. Thunder Mountain is still a possibility for him, which means that it will only cost 5 energy to do Tag Bolt and take 3 prizes in that turn. And there is the Stellar Wish. There's a lot of good things in that 5 cards.
None he needs, though. He took a big risk sending out Jirachi. I don't think he has any way to switch it out. And he was just kind of hoping to find a supporter like a Cynthia or something so that he could draw a bunch of cards and then also get a skateboard or switch. Well, a skateboard wouldn't even work, but like a switch. As it stands, I don't think he has any way to move the Jirachi unless he has Tapu Koko GX in his hand. And in that case, this game's not out of reach yet.
Oh, there's the Tapu Koko.
Okay, there we go.
Move a couple of energy onto it.
Oh, yeah, he's just going to use it for Arrow Trail, move an energy, and then retreat for free with the Zeraora GX. And now that's a clever way to get that Pikachu and Zekrom in there.
So a handful of Pokemon worked out.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
And we see Viridian Forest allowing him to get that 6th Lightning energy onto his Pikachu and Zekrom GX. So we're going to see the fully powered Tag Bolt GX. 200 damage to the active, 170 damage to a benched Pokemon. Gustavo will go down to a single prize card, but Clifton will have one chance to win this game.
And so it comes down to, can he find that Pokemon that can do the 30 damage and get that Zapdos into the active position at the same time? I don't think that Pikachu and Zekrom GX is at risk of being knocked out. I feel like that's a bit of a tall order from Clifton.
Indeed.
But that Zapdos on the bench there, it's just a Guzma and a Zapdos and energy away from the knockout.
There we see Kaboom, the big Tag Bolt GX for 3 prize cards, a definite game changer. And now does Clifton have some way to do 30 damage to that Zapdos on the bench?
I mean, there's a lot of pieces in his hand. I see Ultra Ball, I see Guzma, and there's access to an energy as well in the form of Viridian Forest.
Okay, does he have a Zapdos in his deck? If he did, that would be game over.
Seems like he's deliberating a little bit. Like, he also is not sure if there's Zapdos there.
Oh boy, he's got very few cards left in his deck.
None of those is Rescue Stretcher, and none of those is Zapdos. I think there's one other card to look at that he has left in his deck, and he can look at that if he does Viridian. Oh, no, sorry, it's quite a lot.
Oh, yeah,
quite a few cards. It looked like he had...
I know, yeah, it looked like he had like 6 cards left. Okay, there's plenty of cards left.
So it makes me wonder...
Okay, there's Ultra
Ultra
Ball.
Ball really looks like he's hanging onto that Wobbuffet, deciding that that's a useful card to have right now.
Oh, discarding Guzma?
Interesting.
He must know that there's no Zapdos in his deck.
No, I don't see one. Don't see Rescue Stretcher either.
All right, so he is getting Pikachu and Zekrom GX. Wow, it seemed like he was going to win this game for sure, but he just has not found the correct cards to finish this off.
And that's not a bad card to have, actually, the Pikachu and Zekrom GX tag team now. Now he knows that Tag Bolt's finished with. Now he knows that Tapu Thunder can't be used. He knows that Pokemon's pretty safe there. At least it won't be knocked out next turn. Or we expect it not to be unless there's...
Yeah.
You never know, with all the Electro Powers and Choice Bands flying around.
Yeah, and off the Cynthia, he could still pull off the win if he finds his Rescue Stretcher and then a way to search for Eevee. There's Rescue Stretcher. Does he have an Ultra Ball to go with it? Oh, not
Didn't
quite.
see one.
So we do see Rescue Stretcher. Gonna shuffle in Eevee,
Does
Jolteon.
get the Eevee and the Jolteon and one other card.
It's like Jirachi. But I think he's gonna realize he's a card short. You can shuffle everything in, but you can't search for the Eevee. If he had some way, a Nest Ball and Ultra Ball, he could just search for the Eevee, attach, use Energy Evolution, and then attack with Jolteon GX to win the game. And that would have been a beautiful ending to this game, where that 80 damage from earlier would have set up the game-winning play. But he's just a card off.
And Stellar Wish has been used, as you can see the Jirachi is asleep, and it looks like they're packing up.
Just concedes.
Gustavo Wada, I'm going to say, not so much out of nowhere, but like not expected.
Yeah, it looked like he was behind for pretty much all the game, and nope, somehow came back.
Yeah, I guess that's the power of Tag Bolt GX, right? And all of these cards that have come out to support the Lightning-type Pokemon. I don't know if we saw it then, but that Thunder Mountain, Tapu Koko Prism Star, Electro Power, Zeraora GX, all these cards came out in the last couple of sets. and they just support Pikachu and Zekrom tag team so well, and it just means that it can really just do that tag bolt sort of out of nowhere and take 3 or 4 prizes in one turn.
It's kind of strange. I mean, these decks have so much potential to be incredibly explosive and pull off all these crazy turns where you're like Tapu Koko, Prism Star, double energy switch, triple electro power, like take a 6 prize turn. And then pretty much all the games we've been seeing today have been like, I play an energy, attack with Zapdos. Like there's so much you could be doing, but most of the time it's just a very, I don't want to say boring, but very like straightforward. I play an energy and then I attack for 80.
I'm just going to put it out there. I think Zapdos might have taken more prizes at this tournament than Pikachu and Zekrom
Maybe,
GX.
yeah.
But I do think that Pikachu and Zekrom GX, they've been a little more game-changing.
Sure, yeah.
They've been able to just swing the game so much when that tag bolt with 6 energy is able to be used.
Yeah, definitely that last game. Pikachu and Zekrom was the MVP for Gustavo. The tag bolt pulled him back into the game, and now we have game number 3 here, about 10 minutes remaining in the round. Both players starting off with Jirachi, and wow, Clifton just putting down Wobbuffet and Marshadow, saying, let's go, let loose, and good luck, sir.
Yeah, I mean, not to maximum effect, just because we know that obviously Gustavo has access to that Stellar Wish, so he gets another extra chance to find a supporter for turn, but yeah, really interesting.
And interesting, he played down the Wobbuffet before he even had a chance to use his own Tapu Koko Prism Star.
I guess as we have fewer minutes in the game now, only 8 minutes left, I guess he just wants to prevent that being knocked out really quickly by things like very quick full blitz with Dance of the Ancients combination. He's like, look, I'd prefer to play a little bit slower and hope that you get nothing from your Marshadow and hope that I can just steamroll and prevent you from getting any Pokemon into play.
And great draw from Clifton. He gets Lily off of his 4 cards from Let Loose, so he can draw up to 8 cards here. Ultra Ball, find himself maybe a Zapdos or Pikachu and Zekrom, something that can put on some pressure on the next turn. And he hasn't even used Stellar Wish yet.
What a pro player, I would have to say. It is great. It is a great feeling to let loose and then draw a Lily for 8.
Yeah.
It's you feel like you're the best player in the world when you achieve that. But I'd say it's also good that he's put down an energy as well. Like we were talking about, those energy switch combinations, always good to just get an energy down and hopefully on a Pokemon that's not necessarily going to be targeted by, say, a Zapdos on the opposing side. It means that it hopefully will stay in play a little bit longer, and even if it does get knocked out, you can use, usually, if Wobbuffet's not there, Dance of the Ancients to get it back.
Did he not use Stellar Wish?
Oh, perhaps he did.
Or
It is asleep.
Did he do it at some point? Did I miss it? I don't think he ever used it.
No, I'm not sure.
Okay, I certainly could be wrong. But
Actually just went to sleep.
yeah.
Fine. So Gustavo on his side has definitely used Stellar Wish, found a nest ball. He's going to search for any number of basics, really. He could be going for the Absol. You'd suspect he might be going for the Zapdos. Zeraora is a target as well.
There we do see Zapdos. And he does have Guzma. I mean, his only supporters are 1 Volkner and 2 Guzma. And we'll probably see Volkner for Switch here, so that he can knock out his opponent's Jirachi.
Yeah, which means that if Clifton doesn't have cards in his hands, supporters and whatnot, then it won't be so easy to find it. He'll have to get them off the top deck. But we do know that he does have a Lily, so it won't be too disruptive here.
I'm so curious to know. I have to go back and watch to see if he actually used Jirachi. I'm so confused. But there we see the Thunderous Assault knockout on that Jirachi. Whether or not it should be asleep, a question for another day. But Gustavo takes the lead here. And Clifton is kind of on the back foot. He does have a Lily in hand, but a bunch of Electro Powers and not a lot to do.
Ooh, it looks like he might be nest balling for the Eevee, which, like we saw, was very impactful last game, especially with that Energy Evolution ability.
Yeah, and it's very good. Zapdos might not apply weakness to its attack, but Jolteon GX does. And it does 30 damage. When you play Electro Power, that's 60 times 2, and it's perfect to knock out a Zapdos and do 30 damage to a benched Pokemon.
Yeah, it pressures that Jirachi as well. There's the Electro Power. There's a Lily. That was an amazing start from Clifton. Very good to be able to see that combination with the Eevee Jolteon and recognize that, hey, you're weak to lightning, and you're going to be knocked out from this attack.
Yeah, he opts to play the Escape Board on his Jirachi. He could have conserved the energy, put it on the Marshadow, but decides to retreat. And I think he just wants to make quick decisions, try to get a win out of this instead of a tie.
Yeah, a tie's never a terrible thing, but you definitely want to come away with a win if it's possible. And some of the worst times when you tie, when you know that you could have won if you'd played a little bit more quickly.
Exactly. So Nest Ball from Gustavo off of that Stellar Wish. Might be eyeing up another Zapdos here, but it's really, I don't know, it doesn't seem like a great option in the face of a Jolteon GX. So maybe he'll be trying to find something else. He's in a bit of an awkward spot because of that Wobbuffet. He doesn't have the option to go Tapu Koko Prism Star and burst a bunch of energy in play.
And this is the difference between the two decks as well. As I was saying, Clifton plays that Jolteon GX when Gustavo doesn't, so he doesn't have these options available to him. This Nest Ball Energy Evolution combination. It's not something that he can look to do, but it looks like he's going to get maximum value out of those Jirachis and second Stellar Guidance.
All right. Finds the Volkner off of this one. We'll see if he decides to play that. Can search for a Lightning Energy and an item card.
And that's something we didn't see Jake play. He cut the Volkners out of his list in favor of those Alolan Nighthouse GX to say, oh, look, I don't really worry about getting an energy. I just want 2 item cards. There's an Ultra Ball away. Gets rid of the energy.
Yeah, I gotta wonder if he'll just go straight for Pikachu and Zekrom here.
Looks like he's eyeing up a Tapu Lele GX. I'm not sure if he has a follow-up supporter in his hand. Yeah, it looks like he's going to Wonder Tag.
I mean, he's already played Volkner, right?
Yes, find a supporter for next turn. So gives Clifton a bit of an indication that Gustavo was struggling a little bit.
Oh, no, you can't play that. Okay. All right, looks like our judge has caught that. Supporter card has already been played. So maybe a bit of a blunder there from Gustavo. I'm not sure if he would have done that had he remembered he'd already used a supporter card, but not looking good for him. And this opens the door for Clifton to kind of bust through and take a couple knockouts. He's actually going straight for Tapu Lele GX. You know, if he can find Choice Band and Electro Power, the second energy on Jolteon GX, he can headbolt for the knockout.
And it seems so unassuming. 110.
110.
You know, it doesn't seem like the kind of GX that would thrive in this kind of format. I mean, you look at things like Pikachu and Zekrom GX, Ultra Necrozma GX. They're just laying down so much damage, and you think 110 for 2 is, I mean, it's good, but it's not the best now. But then, yeah, in this kind of environment that it can thrive in with Electro Powers and Choice Bands and ways to accelerate energy, yeah, it's putting in a lot of work.
And we see Viridian Forest, so Clifton does have the second Lightning Energy. Got the Choice Band off the Stellar Wish. And you can see why this deck is so powerful with all these moving pieces with the Jirachi, able to search out the trainer cards you need. And here is the final piece of this puzzle, Electro Power. And wait, no, he's actually just going to do 140 damage, setting up for the bench damage later on. At some point, he could bring out the Jirachi, play an Electro Power, and get the 3 prizes there if he really wants to.
Yeah,
this does deny a Stellar Wish, which is very important.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, though. You'd almost think, do you want to clear his field, clear Gustavo's field of energy, though? Because energy is like an energy switch option for him as well. So if he doesn't have that in play and knowing that he can't dance with the Ancients, it's almost better to clear the field. But also taking multiple prizes in one turn is a really nice thing as well.
It's still going to be a close game here. We are under 2 minutes at this point. Could see a situation where Clifton is able to close the game out, but it's not looking good right now. We do see Zeraora GX gives that Tapu Lele GX free retreat with the Thunderclap Zone ability. So
almost makes you feel bad about attaching the escape board to the Tapu Lele.
Yeah.
Much rather have it on the Jirachi, but
although the escape board is mostly worthless at this point anyway, thanks to Absol. All right, so can Gustavo put up a fight here? He does put down a Pikachu and Zekrom, and oh, there's the energy switch. As you were saying, leaving that energy on the board is dangerous.
But sadly, because of that Wobbuffet, there's no Dance of the Ancients and no accelerating further energy onto the board, so we're not going to see a full blitz. And there comes a Guzma out, Jirachi into the active. Clifton.
It's going to be a very, very tight finish here. We do see
Stellar Wish.
Yeah, Electro Power has been played. We see the Stellar Wish. He could take Guzma if he wanted to try to finish off one more GX to close the game out, but looks like going straight for the Nest Ball.
Players don't have access to the clock, but you can see with the way that Clifton is playing quite quickly here, that he knows that, you know, time is of the essence. He has to get 5 prizes in only a couple of turns that are going to be left to him if it does go to time.
Yeah, you definitely have an internal clock sometimes where you just have a feeling that, oh, this game has gone on for quite some time. I need to hurry this up.
I mean, they are in the 3rd set as well, and so here we see he's going to announce Electro Bullet and take a knockout, I think just before time, so that will put turn 0 potentially on Gustavo's side, which does buy Clifton an extra turn, which is actually crucial in some matchups.
Okay, yeah, it looks like Gustavo is turn 1. He did not promote the Pokemon before time was called, so Clifton will only get 1 more turn to try to win this game. We see Gustavo, oh boy, he's fishing for an Electro Power here. Otherwise, he might just have to Tag Bolt GX to wipe out this Jolteon. I don't think you can leave those energy in play. It's kind of too dangerous.
Which at this point in the game, though, of course, you're going to Tag Bolt. You're just trying not to lose at this point. You're trying to secure the tie. Unless, you know, there's some... I don't see a 5-prize turn coming out.
Yeah, I mean, if he could knock out Jolteon GX with a Electro Power and then finish off, there's the Pikachu and Zekrom on Clifton's bench now. 5 prize cards.
You're right,
that is possible.
He does get 2 turns. You're right.
There's the Electro Power.
Here we go.
And if you're Gustavo, I don't even think you get energy with full Blitz. I think you just take the knockout, go down to 3 prize cards. Don't give your opponent the option to do Tapu Koko GX and Tapu Thunder for the game.
Yeah, what a turnaround this game is.
It's going to be close.
Quite quite interesting. Very back and forth. Neither player with their sort of optimal strategies going on, but from all the Pikachu and Zekrom GX games that we've seen so far, I'm not even sure what the optimal strategy is anymore. It's just sometimes
take all of your prize cards.
Yeah, and somehow just take your prize cards when you look like you're not going to win. It's all over the place. And then we see a knockout.
Yeah, full Blitz. And will Gustavo get energy cards? No. I think that's a brilliant play.
Yeah, very intelligent. Means it's not. It makes it slightly more difficult for Clifton to be able to achieve that knockout. Looks like he's probably going to have to go for a knockout with the Pikachu and Zekrom if he wants to take 2 prizes in this game. Alternatively, some kind of combination with Tapu Koko onto the Zeraora GX could seal it with a Tapu Thunder.
Yeah, I think either way, Thunder Mountain, Prism Star needs to be played this turn for Clifton to have a chance. The scary thing for him is if he doesn't, he could actually lose. Gustavo gets 1 more turn. And Clifton has gone through quite a few Electro Powers and Choice Bands at this point. He could win this turn if he gets Thunder Mountain, Prism Star, and an Energy, and just Guzma. He can Tag Bolt GX to knock out Zeraora on the bench. That would win the game.
It kind of feels like as well, like the Wobbuffet is actually hindering Clifton now.
Yeah.
He really wants that Dance of the Ancients. That would be quite optimal, but unfortunately...
Yeah, if he could choose to just knock out one of his own Pokemon, he would.
Yes, definitely. And that's the Ultra Ball. Looks like he's getting rid of, well, Gustavo won't let us see. The Tapu Koko.
Yeah. And there we do see Tapu Koko Prism Star, but as you said, Wobbuffet, the Shady Tail, will prevent Dance of the Ancients from being used. It stops both players' Prism Star Pokemon. And he's going to send out Wobbuffet.
If it's on the bench.
He can't use it.
No, if it's on the bench.
Oh, it's only when it's on the bench. That's
amazing,
right.
Amazing plays. Look at this.
All right,
that was really cool. And there's
he does have the energy and the Guzma.
Oh,
that's it.
Amazing.
Incredible play from Clifton. Yeah, that clause there. As long as Wobbuffet is on your bench, he retreats, sends it active, and he's able to use his Tapu Koko Prism Star and then Guzma for the game. An incredible line of play, and congrats to Clifton. He earned that one.
Yeah, really cool to see that. I mean, coming into this, I just thought that Pikachu and Zekrom GX, yeah, it's this sort of linear strategy, does this one thing, but it's actually